Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and today we're going to be taking a look at a video from the Ukraine front lines where we are going to be trying to answer the question if trench warfare and World War I style tactics are going to be making a comeback. Let's get into it. So this is the original source for this is the Russian Ministry of Defense. Obviously, like all of my videos, it does show real combat, but there's nothing graphic in here, so you guys should be okay. All right, so let's start here. What is this trench formation? This is a great look of a small trench formation. What are we looking at? Why is it here? Why would you build this little trench right here? First off, the zigzag motion. The zigzag motion is so that shrapnel, right? You have to remember shrapnel from, say, a grenade or an artillery shell or even a bullet fired, they all travel in straight lines. So by having a series of 90-degree angle bends, it's going to make it harder. For example, let's say a grenade lands in the north side of the trench. Well, that shrapnel is only going to travel down this small, narrow passageway. There's a 90-degree bend where that shrapnel, right? The shrapnel's not going to turn midair. So it's protecting troops as they move up and down the trench from shrapnel or any other sort of linear projectile. Now, why is this line extending this way? So it looks like this is a properly dug in trench that ends with a larger foxhole right here. My theory is that this is actually operating as a blocking position. Blocking position is a tactical term for, here, we'll make it a little bigger so you guys can see. So a blocking position is a tactical term for any time you have an enemy avenue of approach and you want to block them, stop them from moving down that route. By having this larger foxhole here, it's probably supposed to be maybe two anti-armor sites, right? Obviously, anything coming up or down the road would have to engage this entrenched position. And this trench line is meant to prevent the enemy from flanking this anti-armor position. So again, imagine your Ukrainian forces. You're moving down this road. Your lead tank either takes rocket fire, takes an anti-armor weapon fire. It has to stop, and the infantry deploy. Now, the infantry can try to flank around this way, but it makes more sense that they're going to flank on the camera-facing side. Now, what is the problem, though? Look, the enemy has created a pre-made ambush to flank the flankers, so to speak, because as they come around, right, trying to get on the flanks of this anti-armor position, they are going to be broadside with the trench. So that's probably, I suspect, the tactical decision-making of Russian forces here. One other thing I want to point out, while we're thinking about the First World War, which is also characterized by trench warfare, a slow, plodding progression through territory, and the heavy use of artillery fire. And as you can see here, look at just the tremendous amount of artillery craters all throughout this area. This is an unbelievable amount of fire that Ukrainian and Russian forces have exchanged here. Just a massive amount of shelling has just completely obliterated this entire area. And it makes it more clear why a dug-in trench line like this is more protective. First off, thanks to the berms overhead and the narrow trench line itself, our incoming artillery would have to score an extremely precise series of hits to take out the entire trench. And because soldiers can easily stay below ground level, the shrapnel from these other explosions will pass harmlessly overhead. Also, guys, I wanted to just real quick before we play, make one more request. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm at 78,000 right now. I really want to get to 100K subs. It doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't mean that you're going to see every video, but it will make a huge difference for my channel. Okay, let's take a look at some more footage here. Boom, there you go. That's exactly what we talked about. So that's a really precisely delivered artillery shot right on what looks like maybe a generator or a watchtower. But you can see here, even by being just a little bit off, it's going to definitely concuss or ring the bell, so to speak, of the Russian troops in this trench, who you can see. But that shrapnel is going to pass harmlessly overhead. That is another extremely close round. And those troops are all hunkered as far into that trench as they can get. You can see these are ridiculously close rounds. And it's got to be terrifying to be trapped in a trench as artillery lands directly on top of you like that. Now you can see here, the Russian forces or the Ukrainian forces here are targeting these tanks in the open. We've discussed this in other videos. It's just simply dangerous to be in the open when you're within artillery range, especially when the artillery operates with this level of precision. This is a lot like World War I, unfortunately, where you saw forces on either side could not be exposed for any length of time in the no man's land of the battlefield. Now, thanks to technology, of course, I suspect this no man's land is going to be much bigger. Both sides with artillery power are going to be much more, there's going to be a larger standoff distance. One other thing that is interesting is that because both sides now have lost a significant amount of combat aircraft, you may actually see combat aircraft being employed less. And one of the things that we need to acknowledge about our World War I style tactics, which favored the defense, in which the defense had a tremendous amount of advantages over the offense, was that offensives, when they happened, which were rare, were characterized by a massive surge of forces. So you would see tanks, in the modern parlance, you would see tanks, helicopters, bombarding artillery, and large infantry pushes. So you can see here, a tank in the open is just incredibly vulnerable. As you can see, these troops also in the open are trying their best to stay alive. This trooper is trying to get to the tank, thinking it's the best cover. He's not wrong. This tank position is probably the best cover. But you can see here, right, here's our trench line. Here's another extended trench. And you can see these poor soldiers out in the open. Now, so it's possible that this tank is also part of this blocking position effort. The tank is concealed from approaching forces, almost certainly on this side, right? So that if they were to engage the anti-tank teams here, this tank could provide support by fire all the way into this entire region of the battlefield. It's a really powerful place to put it. And again, it can be a very effective location setup. If you don't have enemy air superiority. If the enemy can see from the sky, you can see they can get the entire layout fed straight to them. Your flanking position, your hidden tank are all useless if the enemy can see over top you. And thanks to these drones, they can not only see, but they can feed location data directly to the artillery rounds. So it makes it, just like World War I, it's incredibly dangerous to be outside of the trench. Another direct hit on the tank. And another. They are committed to taking out this armored vehicle. And this looks like, yep, the troops again. You can see these two troops are getting down. They see the artillery and they are immediately getting down. This is probably a good call, right? You obviously, when you have shrapnel, it can travel in a straight line, but you have to think about it when it goes off, it travels in a sphere, right? So the lower you are, the more likely you are to just have that sphere of shrapnel pass over your head. This guy running to the tank probably believes that it's safer there, not realizing that the tank is likely the target. And guys, all right, that is all we had. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to our Lieutenant tier Patreon members. If you want to access some exclusive content, Patreon is the place. Also, check it out. I've just released my YouTube course. Link is in the description. Comes with a money-back guarantee. If you don't earn the tuition back in 6 months of doing content creation, I will refund you. And the promo code has a discount for you there. All right, I'll see you in the next one.